Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever it may be that you are watching this. This is Peter Warden from Retro Reviews. It's been a while. I know, it's been a minute. It's been a little while. Or maybe it hasn't. Maybe you just discovered Retro Reviews yesterday, and this is just like a brand new. It's just like the next day, another new Retro Reviews entry. Um, Most likely not, though. Um, or maybe nobody will ever watch this for the rest of my life because anyone who does follow Retro Reviews has given up on us. I don't know. We'll see. Um, it could be anything. Anyway, yes, as you can see, Ray is not here. It is just me. This is just a project for myself. And yeah, might as well introduce this project. And I will preface this by saying it is not. I wish I could say it was an original idea. It's not an original idea. Um, a film reviewer, blogger, writer, whatever you want to call it, named Nathan Rabin, who I've followed fairly closely for a very long time. I'm a big admirer of his. He writes. He's a spectacular writer. He has great insight into all of his reviews. Whether I agree with him or not on everything, he's always a lot of fun to read. But he just started a project for the new year where he was going to go back and look at all the movies that came out the year he turned 18, which happens to be 1994. And I thought that sounded like a great idea. So why don't I do something similar? I'm going to go back and look at all the movies that I saw. I don't know if he's looking at all the movies he saw. I think he's just going with noteworthy movies. I'm going to go back and look at all the movies that I saw in the year of 2004, which is the year that I turned 18 years old. I know. Yeah, 10 years difference. 2004 was a very interesting year. And actually, it was a very interesting year for me. It was also kind of a very interesting year for the world, which I'll get into later. But yeah, the year you turn 18, that's a big deal because for the most part, for most people, that is the year that they graduate high school. And for maybe fewer people, but many as well, that's the year they start college. It's a big deal, big transition. And I could say for myself, and this is true for pretty much my entire life, but I think it's kind of particularly true for the year that I turned 18. Movies were really my refuge. Movies were very important to me. When you're going through a lot of changes, a lot of emotions, a lot of drama, you go with what is comforting. And for me, the movies were a very comforting thing, and they still are to a certain extent. Um, but yeah, so yeah, we are in the year 2024. 20 years ago. This is the 20-year anniversary of the year I turned 18. So I'm not a mathematician, but I think that means, I don't know, I'm like in my mid 20s by now or something like that. I don't know. It's around there. Um, yeah, I am going to start off this project by taking a look back. Oh, and I want to specify. I'm not rewatching these movies. I am not going back and doing that because you know what? I don't have that kind of time. How many people do? I'm just going to go back with what I remember about the experience of seeing this movie in the theater or seeing these movies in the theater. Maybe, and I'm sure this is the case for a lot of them, maybe I've seen them 20, 30 times since then. Maybe I only saw them once, which for the case of today's movie is in fact the case. Saw this movie one time in the theater on back in January of 2004 and have never seen, I don't think, a moment of it since. Never flipped to it on TV, never even and I'm sure it's been on TV, but certainly never watched it in full again. Yeah, but it's still in my memory, still exists somewhere. Maybe exists only in my memory. I don't know. But yes, but that's what I'm doing here. Just kind of examining and trying to conjure up the memory of where I was at that point in my life, what the movie meant to me, if anything, what the day meant to me, if anything. And you know what? Why am I doing this? Because I can, and I have the time. And it does sort of tie into what Retro Reviews was. So yeah, hopefully you don't mind. I mean, I know everyone loves Ray. Everyone loves Raymond. I love Ray. And yeah, it's hopefully we can make do with just me. But anyway, hopefully you enjoy this. Hopefully anybody watches this. we can hope. Like I said, Retro Reviews has not posted in quite a while in any way, shape, or form. So hopefully we haven't lost everybody. But if you're interested, if you're like wanna just spend a little bit of time with me, hopefully you enjoy what I do here. So that's enough introduction of the project. Hopefully I laid it out clearly, and hopefully I follow through, because there's a whole year ahead of me. We'll see how this all runs out. By December of this year, who knows? Maybe this will be a long distant memory that didn't really follow through on. But as of now, I intend to make it happen. And I'm going to go by the release dates of the movie. On each of these movies' 20-year anniversaries, I am going to go back and look at it and just remember what I was doing at the time. And today's movie, which came out on January 9th, 2004, is a movie called Chasing Liberty. Dead silence. I know. Yeah, I'm by myself. It would be dead silence anyway, but I can kind of imagine that being the case. How many of you have seen Chasing Liberty? How many of you even know what the hell I'm talking about when I mention the movie Chasing Liberty? Anybody? I don't feel like that's a movie that's really gained cultural consciousness, or retained cultural consciousness, but yes. Chasing Liberty came out on January 9th, 2004. And today is January 9th, 2024, so happy 20th anniversary, Chasing Liberty. You did it. You did it. It starred... let's get into some stats here. It runs 111 minutes, which seems lengthy for a movie like this. It was distributed by Warner Brothers. It was made for $23 million, a $23 million budget, pretty modest, not a big blockbuster. It grossed $12 million at the box office, which, honestly, that surprised me when I looked at that. I know the movie isn't really well remembered today, or, remembered at all today, but it did surprise me to hear that it only made $12 million, barely half of its budget back, and those are rough numbers there. But yeah, the stars of the movie were Mandy Moore and Matthew Goode. I don't think I remember that it was Matthew Goode in this movie. And I haven't seen Matthew Goode in a ton of movies, but I certainly had no memory of him going back this far. He was in that movie The Lookout with Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing a very interesting character there. That's it. I don't really know much more about the guy, but it did surprise me. The dude in the movie was Matthew Goode. All right, didn't remember that. It also included Jeremy Piven, Annabella Sciorra, who I only know from What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams, and Mark Harmon, who has done a lot of television, did a really terrible Hilary Duff movie the next year, so he's worked with Mandy Moore and Hilary Duff. That's a nice resume there. And those are the stats. Like I said, saw this movie one time. I remember the day. My uncle had actually just passed away, which, that's interesting. So yeah, my uncle's been gone for 20 years now. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like it still kind of feels like he's around. Whenever we're at the holiday parties, he and his wife, who both died very close together with each other. It is weird that it's been 20 years now that he's been gone. But nevertheless, we were all at his house. And, I just wanted to be there because I wanted to be supportive. But when it got to a point, it's like, okay, I have nothing to do here. I have nothing that I'm contributing. Why don't I just peace out for a little bit? I have a few hours to kill. And got to the theater, looked at the marquee, and this tells you a lot about January movies. I looked at the marquee, and the best option I could come up with was Chasing Liberty with Mandy Moore. That's the movie. I was like, okay, that is what I am spending my time watching. That was kind of, that's really mostly all that I remember about it. I remember it is like The First Daughter. That's something else. There was another movie with almost the exact same plot, which I didn't see, called First Daughter with Katie Holmes. Right? Yeah, that was a thing. Okay, and then Chasing Liberty, Yeah, she plays the first daughter, the daughter of the president, who I think Mark Harmon plays. I don't know. Um, and then like the Secret Service agent decides to take her out on the town, or she wants to go out on the town, and the Secret Service agent, played by Matthew Good, like tries to stop her but then can't stop her because she wants to rebel. It's a total modern day Roman Holiday kind of situation, which, you know, Roman Holiday, one of the most enduring classics of all time. I love Roman Holiday. It gets better every time I watch it. And Chasing Liberty, I watched one time and was like, I'm good. Um, and, you know, this is going to get into kind of dicey territory here, but, you know, this is what 2004 was like. So I'm just going to say it again because I want to convey every memory I have of the experience. Um, I remember seeing Mandy Moore on Jay Leno, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, promoting the movie. And I just remember maybe at least 50% of the conversation being talked about this scene where she skinny dips in an outdoor pool. This is a PG-13 movie, so nothing too graphic happens, but she said the word butt double like at least 6 times in the interview. She wanted to make it so clear to everyone who was going to see this movie, I am not naked in this movie. It is a butt double. It's a butt double. She said that so many times, and I remember that clearly. It was like, okay, so that's going to happen, and it's not actually Mandy Moore. She really wants everyone to know that, so if you go back and watch this movie, now you will know that too, because she wanted you to know that. I feel like nowadays that would not be part of an interview on a talk show. That would be something that would be steered away from very much. And I'm not so sure it would even be in a PG-13 movie nowadays, or any movie nowadays. I mean, this is not, well, unless it's Saltburn. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna stray off topic for a second and say I can't stand Saltburn. I thought that was a terrible, terrible experience. It hurt my eyes to watch that movie, and yeah, a lot of stuff that I don't think should be in movies nowadays. I'm not a prude, but I look at that and I was like, that shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen in a movie. So yes, that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, my memory of the movie is really just that. I mean, she had talked about it so much in the interview, so yeah, I remember the skinny dipping in the lake scene. And I remember being mildly charmed by it. I mean, like, okay, it's a pleasant little diversion, and I think I gave it like a C or a C plus, and moved right along with my life. And I think afterwards I went to a record store and purchased my very first U2 album, which, if you know anything about me, that's a big turning point in my life. There. But yeah, besides that, Chasing Liberty has faded from my memory very much. You know, of all the movies of 2004 that I'm going to be talking about this year, this might be the one that I remember the least. I could go back and watch it, but literally nothing over the last 20 years has compelled me to do so in any way. But I like Mandy Moore. I like Mandy Moore a lot. At this time, she was a couple years... Yeah, it had been just a couple of years since A Walk to Remember, so she was still kind of fresh off that. I love A Walk to Remember. I saw it way back when it came out, and I rewatched it a few years ago, and it holds up. I like that movie. I'm kind of surprised it didn't get great reviews. And this movie got okay reviews. I think, Roger Ebert gave it 2 stars. This isn't off the top of my head. I looked this up beforehand. Roger Ebert gave it 2 stars. My local newspaper, the San Francisco Chronicle, Mick LaSalle gave it a polite applause rating, which, not bad. He can be kind of brutal with movies like this. So the fact that he liked this movie in any way, that's a pretty good sign. So I don't know, maybe I would watch it today and be like, okay, that's actually better than I remember. I do tend to appreciate charming little love stories. I don't think I mentioned that. Yes, the two of them fall in love. I mean, you can tell that just by looking at the poster, but yeah, obviously that they fall in love, they end up together, and the two of them, meaning Mandy Moore and Matthew Good, not Mandy Moore and Mark Harmon, that'd be weird, or Mandy Moore and Jeremy Piven, that'd be very weird. I don't know who Jeremy Piven played at all. I don't remember him in this movie at all. I think I knew who he was at the time, because he had done a few movies, but now I'm rambling, but whatever. But yeah, it's tell me, folks, is there anyone out there who remembers this movie? Did you see this movie in theaters? Were you one of the few people to contribute to the $12 million gross that it had? Did you catch it on TV? Are you someone who was born after this movie was in theaters, or only very shortly before? And did you discover it as a young person and it's one of your favorites? Is this a cult hit in any way? I mean, let me know. I would love to hear from people. If you appreciate Chasing Liberty, I would love to know. Um, but yeah, I don't have much more to say about the movie than that, which is good because a lot of this time was just taken up just talking about the project and what the project's going to entail. And hopefully I follow through with that. I do have, I'm not great at following through with things, but I'm going to count on you folks to keep me encouraged, keep me in line, and make sure this actually goes the way it's supposed to go. Every release date that comes up over the next year, I plan to, on the day, release a video talking about my memory of seeing that movie in theaters. And I'm not sure. I think it'll only be the movies I saw in theaters. If I discovered it later on like DVD or video, I probably won't bother with that, because it's supposed to be like celebrating the theatrical experience and where I was at 18 years old when this movie came out. And like I said, I was just about to turn 18. This might be on my 18th birthday, actually. I'm not positive, but it's very close. That would be 3 days from now, from January 9th, January 12th. Yeah, halfway through my senior year of high school, was working at a movie theater at the time for almost this entire year. I was working in a movie theater. So yeah, you should probably know I'm seeing these movies for free. I did not contribute to the $12 million gross, and maybe that made all the difference. Who knows? And I did want to say, I feel like 2004, not just personally for me, but I feel like for the world and the movie-going experience is a very significant year, because smartphones were just a couple of years away. They weren't around yet. They were still a couple of years away. So people weren't so distracted yet. People weren't like in the theater texting the theater. Occasionally phones would ring in movie theaters and people would talk, but nobody was on their side. Everyone would just shout at them, tell them to shut up. Whereas now people are just like, they're on their phones, they're lit up, and nobody seems to complain anymore. It's like they feel like we've been defeated. This is it. This is just the reality that we're accepting now. I know the very next year is when the theater I worked at started this practice where at the beginning of every movie, one of the employees would come out in front of the theater, in front of the audience, and personally say, please turn off your cell phones. Please keep all conversation during the movie to a minimum. Please respect the movie-going experience. That lasted for about a year or two until Cinemark bought the theater, and Cinemark is just like, we don't care. We're just gonna let the customers do whatever they want. They're paying us. We don't care about the movie-going experience. Yeah, Cinemark sucks. So yeah, I feel like 2004, and yeah, Facebook wasn't really a thing yet. I didn't have my first social media. No, I was on LiveJournal, or I was about to be on LiveJournal. It was around this time where I got onto LiveJournal. No, it was a few months later. It was during this year. So yeah, I wasn't really corrupted by social media yet. Yeah, I got LiveJournal, excuse me, when I got into college later that year. And then the next year became, I got my first MySpace, and then Facebook, and then, civilization crumbled. So this really was the end of an era. I really feel like this was the end of an era. And people would just see movies to enjoy the movies. And I feel like this was, nowadays I feel like movies really do get made with just the feeling that it's not really going to be seen or watched with full attention. Like, so many movies feel that way. I feel like they're just kind of made for streaming, for people to just kind of casually watch with a phone in hand. And that's why I feel like if I go back and watch Chasing Liberty, a movie that actually was made for movie theaters, a movie that was actually made to be seen big, or maybe to be watched on television or something. But there had to be a certain artistic integrity to them that I just feel like is so largely absent from movies nowadays. I know I sound like an old man when I say things like this, but I really do feel that way. Movies are just not the same now. So yeah, I think I've probably said everything I need to for this first episode of, I haven't even come up with a title yet. Let's just call it The Films of 2004. The films of Peter's formative year from childhood to adulthood. And we'll see how it all turns out. But I hope you watched it this far. Thank you for watching this far if you did. And hopefully this turns into something I follow through on. I'd say there's about 70 movies for us to cover over the next year. That's a pretty sizable chunk. So, yeah, Chasing Liberty, we love you. Or do we? I don't know. If you, again, please let me know if you are a fan of this movie, if you've seen it, if you love it. Yeah, I would love to hear from you. If you hate it, I'd love to hear from you. Okay. Mandy Moore, you're a Disney princess. I worship at the altar of all Disney princesses. Let's just say that. She was a few years away from being a princess at the time, but hey, she'll always be a princess in my eyes. And yeah, don't really know how to end this, but maybe I should just end it. Thank you. Almost 22 minutes of your time that you spent with this, and I am very much appreciative of that. Love you all. Hope you join me for the next one. And no, I will not say what it is yet, because I don't know what it is yet, but you'll find out once it gets posted. All right. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.